for.
And it
So
did-
like, hey, that nut's supposed to be on my bolt. That's the completed version.
It broke my heart, when you saw your dad.
Oh my God, right? I mean, yeah, it would. I mean, if I saw that happening to anybody, it would break my heart again,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And you're doing,
But it also kind of put in reality like that's like I need a part of the brainwashing and all this is thinking that your family members and Sea Org members and these people you love have this idea of what love is. Like love is unconditional.
yeah. Well, they don't know
So
what
they
it
ruined
is.
that already, yeah. And so it just made me realize, like, what am I doing trying to get this, like, love out of my dad?
Mm.
But it had that and all of that and after and the days after and the more protesting. It takes a while, but it is heartbreaking, period.
Let's say this, though. What if your dad, let's say that planet is...
If he left?
And he left.
I would take care of him. We'd figure it out. In a heartbeat. That's what's so horrible, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that...
Because as he gets older... What are they gonna take good care of him? Is he gonna be in a
his brother, my uncle, who was the senior HAS international, which is like the ethics in senior HGO, and worked at the HGB. My uncle is dead. My uncle passed away from colon cancer that could have been, treated. He didn't even know he had it until it was too late. That is what's going on. So the body is not important to Sea Org members because their job is important and what they're doing for our future and clearing the planet and giving people good life mentally and spiritually. Stop getting distracted by all these religions and do the right thing and do Scientology. And so you get really into this whole purpose. It's like it's beyond working for Apple or Google or some company or Amazon, something that you're just already like into because of a job. Oh, I have to get up at this time. It's worse than that. It's like you're even if you're just the filer or the bookseller or whatever it is, your job is just as important as somebody else's above you. And if you're not doing somebody above you is going to have to do your job. And so if you're doing your job, you're helping to save and clear the whole planet.
So,
and then you forget about what you're doing after a while. You're not there every day in the Sea Org going, I'm here to clear the planet. You're not doing that. You're like, how many books did I get? So, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. Probably, I'm not going to get time off this week, or that's not going to get approved, whatever. Your mind is all in the Scientology world.
So when I watched you and Mike Brown, talk about, and seeing the whole thing they did with his mom, right? Which was wonderful that they were able to...
The Aftermath Foundation.
All that,
yeah.
So, but another thing that I've noticed watching you guys over the years, is there is this legit difference between folks that were, I'll just say, in my parlance, worker bees, and then these folks that were, say, at Int Base, who were the ones that I watched the most because they were there, and I learned a lot. I'm not going to badmouth that aspect of it, except that one thing that always stuck in the back of my mind was, what am I not hearing? I mean, at that point, Aaron was the only one who wasn't some big wheel, and even initially. And let me just say this, I retired from the military, was a fairly high-ranking officer.
Yeah.
Led Falcons and that whole bit, right?
Yeah.
But I've always had a heart for everybody as part of the team.
Right.
And when I would see, sometimes I would notice just the little slightest bit where they were kind of brushing off maybe what he had to say. So,
and not only brushing off, they, it's pretty, maybe this will answer your question, they take language that is normal outside language and change it to their own. So even when they're saying something like infinity or, they're going to have justice for this person, they're talking about their own internal justice. They're not talking about the outside law justice.
Right.
So... you could be there thinking, oh, well, that guy got good justice, but that's only Scientology justice. It's not real justice. There's nobody actually, having something openly on the record being exposed for it. So, yeah. There's a lot of things you're not going to see, and there's also a lot of things you won't see, even in whatever regard you were being shown anything. There's a lot of things that we don't show even internal Sea Org members. Natural, even just simple things like certain Sea Org members aren't even allowed to see the food that's being dished out to the executives, and David Miscavige specifically, and the people around him in his little group, his assistants, his communicators. So they have a whole different ballgame. So even the internal Sea Org members don't know the things they would normally hear to even get to that point of what's the stuff I'm not hearing. You're never going to hear it. You're only going to hear from people who are in it and born and raised and have completely let go of all of it.
Now, listening to Mark and Claire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it sounded like
yes.
In Mark's case, there was a lot of, he had been punished and whatnot, and the whole beans and rice bit. But
that's everybody.
I understand. My question is, but I didn't hear that a lot out of, say, Claire. I mean, did they just literally, these top level people just get beat up by David Miscavige, or did they suffer?
Claire was at a higher level than Mark Headley.
Oh, by a lot.
By a lot.
Yeah.
So if Claire's getting rice and beans, Mark Headley isn't going to necessarily know about it unless she tells him. The status of executive structure is sometimes Claire's not even allowed to tell Mark anything about the things she's doing. It's like the equivalent of somebody working for the FBI or being a special CIA agent. They're not allowed to even tell you. Right. So, and Mark already knows that. Mark knows as her husband and being in the Sea Org and the whole brainwash. Like, you don't think you're being brainwashed. You feel like me and you out in the regular world, but your structure and the way you think is very Scientology.
How did that fog lift for you?
Slowly. It takes slow, and it still is. It always is.
Do you find yourself still looking at things through that Scientology filter?
Not looking, reflecting. Like now I'm like, whoa, I remember I used to think this way about gay people. Or I remember I would think I wouldn't break down gayness. It wouldn't even come through my mind. Like I would just be like, they're 1-1, they're disgusting.
You didn't know why?
No idea. Didn't understand what any of that was. And then hearing my own father, calling somebody out naturally when we were just going to a Starbucks and just seeing him react to there was like a trans person standing in front of the parking spot that we were supposed to pull in, and he said this very vile thing that was a normal thing for him to say in his head, and I was like, Dad, you cannot say that. I'm not going to repeat it, but so that little things like that, I was like, wow, my own father, who I thought had this really big, deep heart, just yelled that gross thing at this person. And so yeah, it's a whole different ball game. You have a whole different mind. You're thinking a whole different way. So it's like literally nearly impossible. Do I need to Nice. Okay. What I was going to say is it's nearly impossible to get somebody out of Scientology or the Sea Org without somebody in the Sea Org or Scientology saying, hey, we should probably leave, or do you think, I don't know if I want to be in this anymore. Like, it's not an option to talk about. Never. You're actually not even allowed to talk to any other person besides the ethics officer about something like that, wanting to leave or anything like that.
So do you think Aaron and Heather were kind of a rare case of where two Scientologists sort of arrived at that conclusion that they should get out? Or
Aaron, no, I think Aaron probably, I think from what I know, we can ask him, he's here, but I feel like Aaron wanted to leave, and then his wife ended up leaving with him.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that was his decision.
That was his, and she went along with it.
And she's probably very happy about it now.
Yeah,
so that's what I mean. Like, it's a good excuse. If I was married to somebody in the Sea Org and they wanted to leave, I would be leaving with them.
Yeah.
But as long as they're there and I'm comfortable and I'm just doing my job and at least I have my little moments with this person I think I love, then it's not so bad. But if they leave, then of course they're going to leave. Yeah.